that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In terms of revenue, this whole entire workflow does is automates research and personalization within an email and then sending that email directly into a Gmail outbox. Good thing we're doing the share screen.
Let's get it. The next new thing.
Welcome, everyone. One of the things that I've noticed here is that people are really excited about using AI to grow sales. Like, it's one thing to build apps, but eventually you need to actually get customers in the door. And if you're using the same old tools that you've used before, the same plug and chug marketing emails, the same stuff that, well, worked before AI, you're not taking full advantage of what AI can do in the form of customization and speaking to people in a more natural way. So I was trying to think of, how do we do this? How do we show a way of getting customer? And then I realized my partnership with Zapier, it's perfect. They do automations like using AI in a way that literally no other tool does. And so I wanted to find out how to do it. Today we're going to find and we're going to learn 2 different ways to do it. First, if you have a spreadsheet of contacts that you want to send cold emails to, but don't want to do the fill in the blank old emails that people used to use, but actually create some customization in there, you're going to see exactly how to do it so that everyone gets a message that is so personalized to them, it feels like it was written by you. And we're going to show you how to do it in level 1, and you can keep developing it to your voice and your audience and your customers. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to recognize that you probably already have some customers, and you might want to expand within the business that those customers are coming to you from. Well, Zapier has got this automation that they use internally, that when there's someone at a company that's using their software and they think the whole company might want to do it, it's an automation that helps them close those sales. We're going to walk you through both of them, starting with the simple one and then going on to the advanced one. Follow along on the screen as we do it. And I've got with me Kristen Jeffrey. She is a senior demand generation specialist at Zapier. Kristen, thank you for doing this.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Love our partnership together. I know you are one of our longest standing customers. So I'm excited to kind of work with you on this and show everybody what is capable in terms of email generation with Zapier. As you mentioned, we have these templated options. There's kind of like a phase 1 or a stage 1 of what you can do with Zapier out of the box. These templates are available for everybody to use. They're public and available for any Zapier users. So today I'm going to show you how to use this one and then kind of build out, like you say, the more complex variation of this automation. So we can jump right into it. What you do here and what we're trying to do is generate and send personalized cold emails from Google Sheets entries using ChatGPT or some other AI solution in email by Zapier. And I'll show you what I mean by some other solution. Instead of ChatGPT, you can plug in something like a Claude or Zapier, AI by Zapier, as it will load here.
And we've got a link to this in the show notes so anyone can click it and follow along.
Exactly. And so what you're seeing
of what's
here
going
is
on in the, give us just a lay of the land here before we get into the details of how to do it.
So once you click into the template, what you'll see here is Copilot. This pops up. This is a newer feature from Zapier. New to me. I am recently returned to Zapier after mat leave only 3 months ago. So this is a tool that it helps you build out the automation for you. It's an assistant as layered on top of the template that is already provided. So here we'll see it's loading, it's setting it up for us. Has Google Sheets and the steps already loaded here for you with the different prompts that it can configure out of the template, out of the box. And then we're going to jump into the configuration steps on the right here once we get all loaded up.
And so the way it works with Zapier Copilot is similar to a lot of other tools like Lovable. Basically, on the left, you chat with the AI bot. In the middle, you get what you are building. And then on the right, you can hit configuration and customize it. And right now, it's a 3-step process. Step number 1 takes in Google Sheets. Everyone has access to Google Sheets where you can put your prospects' contact information. Step number 2, you customize the email using AI. In this case, she's got ChatGPT, but we can switch. And then finally, get the messages out using email.
That's exactly it. So here's where you do your configuration steps. We link to the spreadsheet here. So it's already pulling in the correct spreadsheet. And there, let me stop here. It has Copilot built right into the suggestions here. So it will automatically look for you and say, here's the spreadsheet that makes most sense with the automation you're trying to build. From there, we have the worksheet that we'll pick within that spreadsheet. So we have the ABM demo data already loaded up for you here. and then continue on to test. And so here's where it'll pull records. Great, it found a record. That's what we're looking for. And then continue on. So here, like I said, we have the ChatGPT step, but you can swap in any step you'd like. Here, what I want to do is swap in the AI by Zapier step. What this has is the same intelligence as ChatGPT. You can see it pulls the GPT-4 model and has the same type of prompts that you would see in ChatGPT, but built right within right within into our workflow. So here's where you'd have your prompt, and we have for mapping, we can select here first name. This is pulling directly from our sheet, and we want to say hi first name. So we're just putting in the prompt or address. Email for, it's our email for. This is the name we're looking for from our sheet at this company. And company name here. Draft an email after looking for any public mention of AI or automation. Again, this would be for Zapier, spelling mistakes, always occurring in here. Not that we need to correct them with AI, but I'm polite that way. So any public mention of AI and automation, and then draft an email addressed to them. Address that first name. Again, first name. Stating or asking what their 2026 AI and automation plans are. So there's the prompt. And then we'll generate the preview here. That is the only kind of necessary step in here. There are some specific input fields you could include or output fields. It will give you what it thinks your prompt strength weak. If I were not live demoing, I'd definitely improve that to get it up to at least a medium. But here's what the output is. And this is kind of, again, live demo data. It looked and found for that specific first name and that company, any mentions of AI or automation, and then drafted us this custom email. So Dear Taylor, that was the first name we saw in our spreadsheet. I hope your message finds you well. Reaching out for to inquire about Nimbus, intelligence and automation for the upcoming year 2026.
I do like how it's doing this, but you know what the thing is? It does feel very stiff. Why don't you ask it, be more casual and keep it to 2-sentence paragraphs or less? Can you just add that to the prompt there, or you're telling it to improve?
Absolutely. So I'm going to try this improved prompt, which is kind of something that's built right in, another AI feature. See what that has for us. And if it doesn't improve that way, I can always manually go in and, yes, update the prompt to say, let's make it more human. Let's make sure we're speaking more to that actual pain point, things like that.
You know what? One of my past interviewees scolded me for not using the knowledge sources section, and I just didn't notice it was there. He said, Andrew, if you want to get good results, add files to the knowledge sources. And I guess there what I could do is add past emails that I've sent as references.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You could probably, and I mean, that is what we do all the time in terms of when we're trying to create GPTs and putting emails in to have it be more intelligent. You can also copy and paste here for the prompt. Here's an example email. Let's remove this. Here's an example email. And then copy and paste the email, for example. For this one, we don't have that handy, but we can quickly say, let's make this email, make sure the email is more human. Sure, the email. I always find it ironic when we're telling AI to make it more human. I feel like it's something we do all the time.
It's like, but I'm trying my best.
Remove the M dash. Remove the M dash. That's always a huge one. Not that I actually saw any in there.
No, I didn't.
That's fantastic. Maybe they've already built that into
honestly,
AI.
thankfully, AI is no longer using it because I still love using it. I remember when I learned how to do it in grade school, and I was so proud. The other thing that I've been doing is I actually do use underneath the preview. There's the improve the prompt, and then I tell it what I'd like for it to change. But
Yeah.
we've got all these different ways of improving and revising it and looking at the preview. Let's see what this latest adjustment looks like, and then we can move to the next step. The point is, adjust it to you, adjust it based on the kind of research you wanted to do before you get started, based on the voice that you have, based on how you wanted to address your person. Okay.
There it goes. I mean, a little bit closer, but exactly. Like you say, you can work with it, modify it, put in some examples of actual emails that you would like within
Yep.
that prompt. Um, yeah. And
Okay.
that's
All right.
kind
So
of
let's finish with this step and
yes. And so the next is sending out outbound email by Zapier. If folks haven't seen this, we have our own system that does send email. You could also change this again, connecting to any email system if you want to connect it instead to
right.
Gmail um, or to um, or to any others. HubSpot we have here, that's one we often will connect to. You can do there, but for this purpose, we'll connect to email by Zapier.
I do
Um,
prefer Gmail. Once I got comfortable giving Zapier access to my Gmail, I
yeah,
realized it's a lot better because then it comes directly from me. I have it in my outbox, which means that I can look at it later on. And the automation still has a human in the middle, right? Where it could create the draft in Gmail and I go in and I decide to edit or hit send.
exactly. And you'll actually see in phase two of this demo, we have that built into kind of the larger ABM automation we are sending directly through our Gmail with a human in loop to kind of approve that. So I'll demo that further on too.
Okay, great.
So here it's just configuring, send out the outbound email. And just sorry, to scale back, it's taking from the spreadsheet row. We analyze, return the data with AI with Zapier, and now we're able to send that outbound email. So who we're sending it to, you can map. So you want to send it to the email within your spreadsheet that you have
Mm-hmm.
here. But for my purposes, just to show you the test, we're going to send it to myself
Right.
and hard code it in here. Oops. And then subject for here, we would have that mapping. So mapping, you can either dash or plus, and here we'll pull from, again,
Oh,
Copilot
got it.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulling from that sheet. And so I don't think we have subject in here. Let's see, subject. There we go. Copilot wasn't smart that time, usually, not every time. You'll have to go through and manually dig, but email body. There we go.
Wait,
And
so email
then
body, how is it in the spreadsheet? Isn't it coming out of AI by Zapier?
the email body, sorry, yes, it is. You are correct. You can either have it coming from the spreadsheet, and I'll show more of that in the next demo.
Right.
But for this one, we'll leave it blank because it's coming from AI by Zapier.
And you don't need to tell
Uh,
it to go to AI by Zapier
yeah.
to get the output from there.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think, yeah, there you go. Exactly.
There you go. Thank you. Okay. And then we should be able to continue and test. And here you can see the test. It would go to my email. Let's expand this here so we can see. It'll go to my email. Here's what the test would look like. We don't have any attachments, but so you know, you can add attachments. You can add a reply to. Actually, normally we do have a reply to in there. CC, anything like that that you would have in a regular email, you can add within this step. For this purpose, we just have the to email body and subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we would test the step. Um, and then we have something missing, a subject, so we can help fix it, which is another cool thing with Copilot. So it will try and fix it if it loads here. So it shows what does this mean? Check previous step output. So we'll go back.
Oh, because there's no data in the spreadsheet under email subject.
That's correct. So
So
for here, we're just going to
let's
test
hard code
today.
something. And we
Yeah,
could,
test. Yeah. Let's say curious about your AI. Curious about your AI in 2026. Not the best subject line, but we'll continue with that. And then we'll test the step. There we
right.
go.
And we could add an extra step in there that also creates the subject using AI that's related to the body, and then it'll work that way.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a few ways you can do. You could either have subjects populated within the Google Sheet and pull it from there, or you could have it within the AI step and pull it from there. We didn't put it in the AI step, so I just quickly hard coded, but those are a few options and ways you could do it.
Okay. All right. And then the email goes out until the spreadsheet is done.
Yes.
And all you have to do is, what's the trigger? Do you need to create a trigger, or do you come in here and launch the Zap itself?
No, so the trigger is a new spreadsheet row. So anytime you're in the spreadsheet and you're
Ah,
adding a new
okay.
row, that is where, and here we can pull up the spreadsheet as well quickly to show
I didn't notice
what is
that.
pulling from exactly. So here it has the contact name, company email, and if I were to add another one, it would run again.
Do it, Andrew
So
Warner, and then let's do the next new thing, and let's use the new email address I just created this week, Andrew at the next new thing.ai.
there we go.
Okay, and now it's going to go to you regardless because that's what
Yeah,
we hard coded in for
we
this
hard
test.
coded it
Okay.
exactly. But so that's where you enter new data into the spreadsheet, new spreadsheet row, and is what would trigger this entire flow.
Okay. Do you want to just pause for a moment and show that the email as it came into your inbox?
Yeah, absolutely. And it came in as no reply because we didn't update the reply email to
Oh,
have
we were just
an
talking about how we
email.
needed to do that. Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. But here is the subject: inquiry on your AI plans. Curious about your AI in 2026. Subject actually came in here. We would just have to tweak that, but this is how it's coming in.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. We would tell it don't include the subject in the message.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Put the
and then we'd
subject role.
obviously say best regards and put in your name, your
Yeah,
position, your contact information, and have it come in that way.
yeah,
All right.
exactly.
I
That's
still
all.
prefer Gmail. I think that having it come from your personal email, I also like being able to hit send or look at the draft. But this is super easy. It's the kind of automation that I've seen people use on a regular basis in private when I ask them how they're getting enterprise customers. They're doing this. And I've also seen some people sell this as like a simple service to get customers to say, I'll set this up for you one time. And then if you like AI in your business in this way, we can talk about more integrations. All right.
Exactly.
Let's now look at the next step. The next step says you already have some customers at a business. You want to, now that you've landed, you want to expand. You do this internally at Zapier. Before we even get into showing how you do it, how valuable is it for the business? Like how much revenue are you generating from this?
The biggest value to the business is really the time savings and how the speed to market with the campaign. So it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of revenue for Zapier
Mm-hmm.
ourselves because of the velocity of campaigns that we are trying to run. Um, what this kind of ABM that I'm about to show you, this whole entire workflow does is automates research and personalization within an email, and then sending that email directly into a Gmail outbox, as you're talking about. And yeah, is able to kind of enable us to send these campaigns at a much faster frequency, whereas before we were doing it manually, and it would take myself weeks to kind of do this research manually, plug it into the sheets, manually personalize each individual email. And it was kind of like a light bulb moment that I shouldn't be doing this manually. I work for Zapier. We have agents and Zaps, and um, this is where we're at with the ABM automation today.
Yeah, I imagine in the past what would happen is, let's say a company like Intercom had a high level executive sign up for Zapier and start using it, especially the AI tools. Somebody would have to look at that and say, you know what, Intercom is a valuable customer. They have a big enough company that they probably should start integrating this beyond the individual who signed up. Let's start doing research on them and seeing what do they do in Zapier that others might want to use, or that helps us figure out what to email them. What's their role at Intercom? What do we want to say to them? What are they saying online? Like all this little bit of research is stuff that you used to do, you and
Mhm.
another person. It took you how long to do this manually?
For our first campaign that we ran, it took us 2 weeks for two people
Yeah.
to manually do a lot of that heavy lift.
And now you've got this automation that we're going to see. And for some people, it's not exactly like this. For some people, it might just be, I have high value customers. I want to understand who they are and see if I can get them on a call to expand their personal usage instead of trying to expand within the organization. For others, it's going to be exactly like this. And then for still others, based on what I've seen with my audience, they're doing this as a service for businesses, saying, look, I will come in, I will initiate this for you, and you're going to start to see customers spread the use of your software within their business. All right, let's look at how we're going to do this. First step, I think, is you've got a table of customers. Now, why are you using this instead of a Google spreadsheet like before?
So this is a Zapier table. And the reason I prefer to use Zapier tables in my automations versus Google spreadsheets
Mm-hmm.
is mostly because of stability. When I am actively working on a workflow, I'm often changing things in the spreadsheet. And when you structurally change something in a Google spreadsheet, it can often break your Zap. I know it's a pain point for a lot of people, but the Zapier table is kind of what eliminates that. It's a lot more fluid. When you change the structure, it automatically registers within the Zap with a refresh. So
Mm.
there's a lot less breakage. It's just structurally more stable than the Google Sheet. And you can also automate directly out of here too. So you can have triggers directly out of the table, which is huge for more complex automations,
Okay.
is where this really comes in handy.
How do you get data into a Zapier sheet or table?
There's two ways. So the first way is by adding a record here.
Okay.
So that's if you're individually, and this is kind of the first way we did use it was we were individually adding in contacts. But then as we built out a whole list, you can also import here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is great because, let's see, it automatically maps the file for you based on what's in there.
I
So it'll
see.
map that was a Google spreadsheet that I downloaded as a CSV and it mapped it in here for me. This is the
Yeah.
same data as what I had already uploaded. We can continue importing for the fun of it, but then that's what it has in your sheet. That's the best way to do it when you're bulk importing, is importing that way, a CSV.
And you can also automate it. So if there's triggers in HubSpot or triggers in some other software, it can automatically pull that data, add it to this table, but now it's saved in this table. There's nobody else who's messing with it, so the automation can work. Okay,
That's
so
correct.
that's how you add it in there.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about the agents that you're going to build. It's not just one automation, it's a set of four that we're going to do. How about if I just tell people what they are and we'll put it up on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first series of agents that run based off this table and based off the Zaps, are the research agents that you might be going through or will
Mm-hmm.
be going through. And the first one is this orchestrator agent that runs three other agents or calls three other agents and kind of brings them together.
Okay. This is the boss who organizes everybody, the
Mhm.
project manager almost agent.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. What's the next agent?
The one of the agents it is calling is the company context agent.
Okay.
This one is one of my personal favorites because it does a lot for me. It calls Glean, so it connects to Glean. Again, Zapier being kind of the glue and that orchestration partner that brings everything together. I'm able to use Glean right within our agent and within then the SAP to find any past history and any past contact relationship, using Slack messages, Zendesk, Gong calls, any internal documentation, summary of the relationship. It can also look at any public mentions from that company or from that user. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what this agent does for me.
Okay. So basically, what you're doing is researching the person before even writing the email to try to get them to help you expand within the company. What's the next agent? So that's number two,
So
company context.
yeah, so the next is the domain level AI agents. So what this does essentially is looks at the customer's usage and their AI usage specifically within Zapier. It's an important stat to us, important stat to a lot of companies. And so kind of looks at what are their AI tasks in total over 30 days, what AI tools have they connected to Zapier, things like that.
Okay. And the next one after that?
And then the next app we have is the domain level Zapier stats. And so this is looking at the basic information like their current plan, how long they've been a customer
Mm.
for, what is their ARR, things like that.
Meaning like how valuable they are to you right now. What are they spending
Exactly.
every month? Got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of those two agents work with Databricks, where formerly I was going into we use Looker to look at all of our data. So I was going into Looker, different looks. Now I'm able to plug this into Databricks and it pulls it directly for me in these agents.
Why do you do it in different agents? Now, obviously, the person who's listening to us is going to be adjusting their own agents and where they're searching. But why not do it all in one automation instead of creating one that looks internally, one that looks externally, one that does this, one that does that?
So, in a sense, that's kind of what the orchestrator agent does. It pulls what they're all doing, and it could do it all in one agent. It could. The reason we did it separately is so that we can parse the data, or we can kind of use the agents on their own independently, and we have in certain use cases. So you can absolutely build this all in one agent. There's nothing to stop you from doing that, but just the logic made sense bucketing it this way for us to kind of use and replicate the agents in future use cases because the agents can be used in different workflows. We don't have to use it in just this workflow. We can use it in future workflows for marketing.
I see. So for me, it might be like if I was getting ready to do a meeting with someone, I could have an agent that looked them up in my Gmail, look them up online, and that might be something that's useful for a sales motion, but it's also useful for a partnership or something else. Got it. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And again, you're using Glean, you're using all your internal data. For me, it might be different. For me, it might be search my Gmail, search our Notion, search our Intercom, and understand if they've ever sent any. Actually, we use Help Scout. You use all these
Yeah.
tools to tell me about them before I take the next step. All right, I got
Yeah.
it now. The orchestrator is the thing that's organizing all of these.
Yeah.
Now let's see how it works together.
Yeah, so here we can see this is a filled out table because it's a lot of customer data. It's quite sensitive. So this is some dummy data we have
Mm-hmm.
in here today. What you would typically do is upload these rows I showed you here. Then you trigger the zap. And what that would trigger is, so it's a zap that's triggering these agents. And let me pull up that zap really quickly so you can just have a peek at it.
And this is a thing you're using internally. My hunch is we're going to see a lot of man in the middle steps here, like you have to select to trigger the zap, et cetera, because you just got back from maternity leave. You just saw that this was all being done manually, and you just recently said we are going to automate it. I asked you, can you show me something that's fresh? And you said, okay. And
Yeah.
when you and I went over this the other day, it had all your internal company data in it. So that's why there's so many steps here. In the future, my understanding is this is all going to be automated, maybe right up until the last step where it's going to sit in the outbox and someone could look at it before editing it. Okay, so yeah, this is what are we looking at?
That's exactly it. And you're right, Andrew. This was V1 almost. We're on, I would say actually really a V2, but we're moving on to a V3 where this is going to be automated start to finish. We're looking at other tools that we can kind of plug in from the start and populate our table for us based on different signals. So exactly, this is a developing workflow. We can do everything end to end, and this is kind of nailing some of the big manual pieces that we
Okay.
wanted to offload right away. So what this is doing here, when you're selecting yes, trigger zap, what that is doing is triggering this zap here that pulls from the table.
Can you click it so we can
And
see on the right what it says? Will it let us see it?
yeah, oh, interdraft.
Okay.
So here, we set up, it's connected to the Zapier tables, and the trigger event is a new or updated record.
Got it. As soon as there's a new record in there, it's ready to go. Okay.
Yeah. So we configured it to our ABM table to test this through. So this is kind of the whole Zap. This is just filtering to make sure
What's it
nothing.
filtering for? Can you hit the configure and test so we can see it? Text exactly matches. What does that
Yes. So
mean?
that is just filtering to make sure that
Oh, that
for
one
this
field
trigger.
says
Yeah.
yes. So first says, look, I don't want to send it out unless somebody specifically said start acting on it. Okay, so that's what it's
That's
filtering
correct.
for.
Yeah.
Next.
And then next we have our update record. And so
Okay, I'm going to
here
look at
it's just
that.
the update for the run status. That's simply to update to say that's processing. It's helpful when you're doing when you're selecting yes multiple times in the table, but that's just a simple it's processing, lets you know.
It's just
When
letting you know that it's doing it. Okay, but it hasn't added
exactly
anything to the table yet. Okay.
precisely. And then this is the fun one. If we if it allows continue. So there we go. This is where it calls the agent. So set up here within the Zap, you can connect an agent. And so that's where it's connected here.
Okay.
You'd go into agents, find your agent. I don't want to mess with it
Don't.
because this is a complex Zap, but
Yeah.
that is where you find your agent. And then the action event is to run the agent. And so
Let me
that is
ask a
running
basic
that.
question here. What's the difference between an agent, which is what we looked at before, and a workflow, which is what we're looking at now?
Yeah, so the agent itself is kind of doing its own job. And that is running, I mean, that's here. So that's where you kind of give it different instructions to do one task or multiple tasks. Whereas the Zap is a workflow that kind of connects everything. It's more stable. With AI, it still is not as predictable and not 100% accurate. Whereas with a workflow, you have a lot more of that control. And that's where we kind of add in Zaps and it connects a lot of the tools together. So it connects our table to our agents. If we wanted to add another step in here to connect in a ChatGPT for whatever reason, connects that as well. But the Zap is really the connecting everything, and agent is doing the actual work and the job.
I tend to think of them, and tell me if I'm right, that the workflow is a lot more of if this, then that organization, and the agent is more just think and do the job.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Okay. All right. So now
Yep.
we've got this agent. That's the setup. What's the configure section on there?
So configure here is where you just call which agent you're looking for specifically. So here we have it set up to that orchestrator agent,
Okay.
which pulls all of those research agents together that look at our data, the Zapier AI data, the company context, and it pulls it all here. This is just the agent instructions. This is pulled directly from what is inside the agent, so just easier to see here.
Got
You
it.
can't edit it here, you edit it within the agent. Um, and then this is here instructing what to input. So this is from the table, give the agent this information so
Okay.
that it can then use that information from the table to do its job.
Okay. Got it. The agent information up there. This is what the agent gets. And then what's the pause zap run until the agent replies?
Um, so this you could have where it doesn't
Don't go to the next step until this agent finishes and gives you the
exactly.
information. Okay. I'm with
Yeah.
you on this. What's the
Yeah.
next step in the table?
So then the next step here, test, it will return that information into the table. So that's just a test. Continue. And then Zapier Tables here is just again update record. It's pretty simple, this one, just to say done. So this is just an updating the status from processing. I'm done my
Okay.
job.
And the
Mhm.
agent will have told all those other agents, go off and do your job. You're researching on the internet. You're researching in our internal docs, and you're researching how this person has used Zapier and what their spend is. The main coordinator then gets it all together and updates the spreadsheet or the table itself, right?
That's exactly it. So
Okay.
that's what this agent is doing here. And so
So
then
now
what
the
you see, sorry.
so
Yeah.
now the table is all updated with all the information that you need.
Yeah.
And you can see it there on the top right. What happens next? How do you then generate oh, let's take a look here. So
Mhm.
Bright Labs is a 2-year, Acme Core is a 3-year company, etc. Recent
Yeah.
contact, outreach via LinkedIn. By the way, when you and I first looked at this, it had such personal information that I wasn't sure
Mhm.
what you were going to do.
Yeah.
I think this is way better. I don't want to
Yeah.
reveal people's personal information, but it had it all in there. And
Mhm.
then you said it goes and it queues up a message. Where's the step where it queues up a message in somebody's Gmail?
Yeah, so that we've also made it into a step where there's a human in the loop because these emails are being sent often to very high value prospects for us.
Hmm.
We wanted to make sure that we had that step with the human in the loop rather than just kind of automating it. So that's where we had that here, and we have it set up through a second series of agents and a Zap. And so here is what you would hit generate, and it kind of triggers the next workflow, which we call the email generator workflow.
Got it.
And that we can have, we can trade
So you don't
quickly.
you don't send out an email until another person, human being, comes in and says, "Okay, I see this. Let's generate the email." Yeah, this is a
Exactly.
lot of stops and pauses. I would frankly at this point say just send it into draft. But I get it. It's new. You don't want to screw it up, and you also don't want to bother someone. This is actually also getting populated in Wade, the founder's Gmail, because some of these emails are coming from him.
Yep. Yeah. Some of
Got
these are
it.
getting put in his
Got it. So
email.
you don't want to flood his email with drafts until you know for sure that this makes sense.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that when you look at this data, so we're looking at this research data, there's a column here called campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we actually would select what does this contact, often we're uploading them knowing what campaign we're going to be putting them into, but here are ideas for campaigns. And then you'd select that campaign and generate from there. And that campaign is what kind of dictates what it's going to generate,
I
which
see.
agent it's going to pull. And you can kind of see that within the agents afterwards. Um, but that's yeah, so it's triggering, it's just kind of giving a lot more of that control, that layer of control that I think at this level of outreach sometimes you like.
Yeah.
um, Maybe once we are trusting the workflow more and we can remove some of these layers of manual control, but for now we find it quite handy.
Okay. And this is the kind of thing, if I'm understanding right, it might be like CEO to CEO messages. And what you want to do is cue him up or set him up for success with a draft so he doesn't have to start with a blank page, some level of understanding, etc. And you're figuring it out. Yeah, I'd love to see the workflow for sending out the email. Just an overview now that we understand what how this all works together.
Yeah, so this is actually a step back before sending into their outbox. This is actually just drafting the email copy
Okay.
um, using the agents. So this here, again, so when the trigger is up, when the button is clicked, so that is this button here.
Uh-huh.
And this we're able to set up directly in the sheet as a trigger
Mm-hmm.
and then generate. So we generate and then it triggers, let's get rid of this one here. It generates this, or it triggers this workflow. So here we can click in again. We'll edit. So here we can see the setup, same thing. We're calling the table, similar to the last workflow,
Mm-hmm.
configuring it with the trigger button and testing, and then jumping into the next step with the update the record. So setup here is the table. Again, updating the record ID here. And this is again just a da 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 da. It's a processing step again, just letting you know that it's running. That's all this one is doing.
That's it. It's
Uh,
just going back into the table and saying, I'm running this thing so that you know when you're looking at the table what's going on. Okay. And then now the
exactly. Yeah.
agent actually runs.
Yes. And then we jump to the agent. Here we go. And this is the ABM campaign conductor agent. So this
Okay.
is a whole nother series
Another
of agents.
conductor.
Yeah. And I can show you that agent here, what it's pulling. So this agent here is what is instructing the work, or what it's going to instruct to pull which next child agent. So that's what it is here. This is the campaign conductor because we run multiple campaigns out of this. We've set up different, we call them child agents
Yep.
or sub agents under this that run that will are called via this parent
And I'm just
campaign.
going to read it out loud. It says, step number 2, based on the persona value, route to the correct child agent. If it's IT benchmark, send it to the persona child agent dash IT dash benchmark, and so on and
Yeah,
so forth. So basically, it's based on who they are. I want you to route it to a different agent who's going to handle it.
exactly. Yeah. And so then what's great about this is it's able to scale. So we have this agent in place, not going directly just to the sub agents, so that we can kind of scale it. This is the parent agent. We use it in the Zap once, and then we can just build out child agents and never have to update the Zap or the table
Mm-hmm.
based on that. So it just simplifies the process a little bit.
Okay. All right, and let's come back to that workflow, and we'll close it out with that. So
Okay.
the agent runs, and then you're updating the record to say what you did.
Exactly. So we run the agent. The output here too is important. So it'll output the email subject, email body, continue, test. It'll give you an example of the test, and then update record. Just again saying we're done, and I'll have that populated within the table here
Yeah.
is what it will return. The email
And then
subject.
do you have another one that actually puts it into the email? You do. No,
We do. And
you
that's where
do.
I can show this a little bit live. So send TSP is kind of our final mini workflow within here. This
Okay.
is a really simple Zap. Each one of these is its own Zap that triggers to somebody's outbox.
Okay.
For this, we can send to my outbox. And we can get into that Zap if we want to quickly.
Sure.
Have a look at what it looks like.
The big takeaway for me is I try to do everything within a workflow. Boom, boom, step, 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 step. You don't you don't do that. Not only do you have some things in a workflow and something in agents, but you also don't overburden one agent. You're treating them all like they're experts in one aspect of this process, and that's it. Really looking at it like Henry Ford, where all you do is put the bolts on the car, all you do is put the tire on, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's multiple reasons. I think it's kind of to, even though it looks more complex, it's to simplify. So that if an element breaks, it's easier to kind of troubleshoot in that
Mm-hmm.
way. And also, I think one of the biggest things for us is just reusing. We reuse a lot of these workflows in multiple areas. So this workflow all works together with the agents and the zaps and everything in the table together, but then we can also parse them out and use them in different campaigns and different outreach. So that's
Okay.
another reason it's built this way.
So when there's a new or updated record, that's the record that says whose outbox it goes into or whose
Exactly.
draft folder it goes into. In this case, it's
Yeah.
yours, Kristen. Email. Then,
Yeah, so we'll set up here, new table, new record, and then filter by Zapier, configure. So this is where send only if the send to ESP, which you saw there, exactly matches mine.
okay.
And then we will send the draft.
And
So
then if
set
you
it
wanted
here.
it to go to somebody else, and so this is now a draft created in your personal Gmail, ready to go. If
Yeah.
you if it's not yours and it's someone else within that field, do you then add a plus below and now do another filter?
No, so that's where I have, I mean, we could. We right now have it as separate zaps. Everyone has kind of their own zap for their own
I
Gmail
see.
account.
Got it.
And again, I think that's because we reuse them. But you could do that as well. Just have it as another filter. This is the person we're sending to.
Got
But
it.
yeah, we have it separately. And then here you can just change if you wanted to change it to anyone else. You have access to whoever's inbox you want to do there. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. This is fantastic. I did learn a lot from this. First of all, I love how simple it is to personalize. I have used mail merge email software before in Gmail. It's nice, but it really is just kind of dumb old school fill in the blanks for me, and it doesn't give me nearly the ability to do research and coordinate and so on, and that's all available here. The other thing is that once I go beyond a couple of steps, I'm now going to think about creating multiple workflows or multiple agents and workflows to make it happen. This is fantastic. And one last thing, a lot of just stop and check in with me, stop and let me know where you are, steps within this, whether it's like update the table to say I'm stopping and I'm analyzing, or it's to actually send it into a draft instead of trying to send it out. That kind of thing is really helpful. Thanks, Kristen.
Yeah. No, thanks for your time. This was really great.
Thanks. Links will be below in the show notes, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.